Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Stands. Of course, I'm your host, Rick Semmler, doing a little different podcast for you this week. No guest because I'm talking about the First Financial Classic coming up December 26th, 27th, 28th, and December 30th at Terre, Haute North High School. This year will be the 25th Classic. And one thing I enjoy doing many of the years, this will be my 22nd year covering the Classic. And one thing I like doing is trying to predict who will win the games at this year's Classic. And I know this might upset some people if I don't pick your team. That doesn't mean I don't like them. This is just who I think will win each of the games. I'm going to try to predict all 28 games and the overall winner of this year's First Financial Classic. And a lot of exciting things going on with WTWO this season. I'll be back, like I said, for the 22nd time covering the First Financial Classic. It will be all on the web. We have a special all-access pass on mywabashvalley.com. I'll have game summaries, leading scores, pictures, some highlights from each game on the website. So if you can't make it to the games, you can follow online. Sports Director Grant Pugh and Jack Burney will be at the tourney as well, providing all kinds of TV highlights. We got the Wabash Valley covered, and something really exciting this year for the first time in many years, WTWO is broadcasting the First Financial Classic third place and championship game. That will be on December 30th. The third place game will take place at 5 p.m. and the championship game taking place at 6:30. It will be Sports Director Grant Pugh leading the way on that. So let's get to my predictions. Again, I'm not trying to make anybody mad, just want to have some fun with this. Let's see if I can get them right. If I do, and you see me at the tournament, hey, congratulate me. If I get them wrong, yes, have some fun with me and say I predicted it wrong. But just because I predict a team to lose doesn't mean I don't like them. Let's just see if I can get the predictions right. So the First Financial Classic, Game 1 on December 26th. Starts at 10 a.m. with a familiar face returning to the tourney and head coach Joey Hart. He's with Cloverdale, and Cloverdale will be taking on South Vermilion. I really like this South Vermilion group. They are struggling, though, in basketball, and it's kind of puzzling because they are tremendous athletes. A lot of these guys were on the football team that just completed South Vermilion's first unbeaten regular season in school history. So it's kind of puzzling on why they're losing. They have tremendous talent with guys like Aiden Wallace, Dallas Coleman, Parker Weir, Dom Garzolini, just to name a few of those guys. But Cloverdale, they got some tremendous players. How about point guard Jahaven Duncan? He's coming off a 30-plus point performance recently. Kid can play. They also have 6'9" freshman big man Ismail Kayeka. I hope I said his name right. I'm not exactly sure on that. I'll learn how to say that. That kid is a double-double machine, and I believe Cloverdale will take Game 1 of the Classic, winning that 10 a.m. game. Game 2, a WIC showdown between Edgewood and Northview. The Mustangs have been a tough out in the Classic over the years, and we'll see if that continues again this season. But I tell you what, the Knights are 6-0 and off to their best start in 21 years. This Northview team has played kids since their freshman year. They have taken their lumps, and now they are winning. It is fun to watch. Of course, Northview is led by star junior point guard Braden Goff, just a tremendous player. If you ever get a chance to watch him play, go watch him. He gives it his all the time. Yes, he scores, rebounds, but the thing I love about Braden Goff, he just plays hard all the time, and you can't teach playing hard. He just does it. Goff, though, has plenty of help. A healthy Avery Perry is back. He's been playing great. It's good to see him back as well. And then Traven Bias and Christian Bryan. Northview is loaded at the guard position, and I pick Northview in Game 2 over Edgewood. Game 3, Robinson and Bloomfield. Robinson is struggling this year under first-year head coach Randy Bishop, and I think they'll continue to struggle in this game. Bloomfield has arguably the top player in the Classic this year in junior Blake Neal. He enters the Classic coming off a 44-point performance. He's one of the better juniors in the state at 6'6". He's a tough matchup because he really plays outside and is a guard and can shoot over people. He also has some nice help with Lance Workman and Tyler Patterson, and I think Bloomfield will be too much for Robinson in Game 3. I'm taking the Cardinals. Game 4, in my opinion, 2:30 on December 26th is the best game coming in on paper. You have Linton, who is unbeaten so far this season, taking on another unbeaten in Park Heritage. Park Heritage is ranked second in the state in 2A. The Miners, of course, are led by All-State football player Paul Oliver at 6'4". He is built like a brick house. The guy's a double-double machine, but he also has a ton of help around him. How about Connor Daly? Just coming off a 31-point performance. He's a solid player. You have Jackson Miller, Cooper Smith, along with a couple talented freshmen the Miners have, and Ruben Goodman and Jake Rose. But I think Park Heritage is just loaded this year. Not just loaded for the Classic. I think this is a team that can make a state finals run. They have junior star Trey Shelsky. He's already reached 1,000 points in his career. He's a scoring machine, but he gets a lot of help from other players as well. And one of those guys is B.T. Luce. Man, can he shoot the ball. Carter Crum, a great scoring around the rim. But the big difference maker for Park Heritage this year is 6'8" Isaac Pickle. Park Heritage really never had a true inside presence, and Pickle gives him that. He can play above the rim, good at blocking shots. He can throw it down. So this is a kind of a toss-up game, I think, a little bit, but I'm going to go with Park Heritage in this ball game. I think Park Heritage gets by the Miners in Game 4. So let's move to the bottom half of the bracket, and we start with Terre Haute South and Shakamak. I like the Johnson boys at Shakamak. Jaden and Jalen, they've been able to score for the Lakers this season. I also like Lyndon Jenkins, but I'll be honest, Terre Haute South, they have a lot of height that's going to pose problems for Shakamak. I do give Shakamak a chance in this ball game. Why? Terre Haute South has struggled out of the gate. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They're 3-3 on the season, but they have really struggled. They've won 2 straight, so they will come into it with some momentum. They also have one of the bigger teams in this. Several guys 6'5" or taller. Jalen Wells, Chris Herron, Nathan Boyce, Trey Lewis, Josh Morgan. And they have solid guard play with Trevor Branch Lewis and Peyton Turner. So I just think that South's height is going to cause Shakamak a little bit of trouble. So I have Terre Haute South knocking off Shakamak in Game 4. Game number 5, KZ Westfield against West Vigo. The Vikings have one of the better scorers in it in Talon Baylor, along with another strong player in Landon Fields, but they have been up and down so much this season. What West Vigo team are we going to see? KZ Westfield is a tremendous team, got off to a great start. They will come into the Classic following their first loss of the season. It doesn't have me worried. They got a kid named Hayden Parcel. Remember that name. He's had 2 games of 30 or more this season, including a 41-point game. They also have another kid you're going to want to watch, Luke Karras. He's a Division I football player, hasn't committed anywhere yet, but he's got a ton of Division I schools looking after him. He's a running back and a linebacker, and he plays nothing but physical on the basketball court. He had a game this season with 23 rebounds in it. So you better bring your big boy pants when you go inside against Luke Karras. And I have KZ Westfield in Game 5 over West Vigo. Game number 6 is actually game number 7. Sullivan and Terre Haute North. They've had some legendary matchups in the First Financial Classic. Not sure this one will be like the others, but you never know. Sullivan has a nice squad. They got some size in sophomore Paul Ridgway and junior Cooper Bach. Bach's been on the scene since his freshman year. Extremely talented junior. But Terre Haute North is Terre Haute North. What can you say about that? I don't call this event the Todd Wolfley Invitational for nothing. No team has won the First Financial Classic more than Terre Haute North. They've done it 12 times, and they seem poised to make it 13 this year. They got size with 6'10" Bryce Wren, along with solid post players in a sophomore Blake Hammond. Bryce Wren's brother, Tyler Wren, is getting healthy. He's a dangerous sophomore as well. Brady Klopfenstein is got tremendous shooting touch. He struggled last year shooting. He has found it this season. And when you're 6'6", like Klopfenstein is, it's hard to deny him from scoring. Cam Fennell, game in and game out, in my opinion, has been North's best player over the last year and a half. The kid is a baller, just a tremendous player. And Terre Haute North point guard Gavin Wolfley is coming off a career-high 25 points recently. I was a little shocked Terre Haute North lost to Evansville Central. They didn't play Terre Haute North basketball, but since then, they've played Terre Haute North basketball, beating a very good Indy North Central team and beating Bloomington South and winning at Castle. So I'm going to take Terre Haute North over Sullivan in game number 7. Our last game on day number 1 is a really good game on paper. We have Marshall at 9-2 taking on Greencastle. The Tiger Cubs had a slip up early in the season, was really surprised when Cloverdale got them. Greencastle has one of the most athletic players in it in Sam Gooch, just 5'10". The kid can score, but guess what? Can jump out of the gym. Maybe the best dunker in the Classic that you'll find. He's also a really good baseball player. If you didn't know that, he can throw the ball over 90 miles an hour. Greencastle has another really nice player in Nathan Sutherland. Marshall is rolling this year under second-year head coach Logan Idle. They got Peyton McGuire. He's kind of Mr. Do-It-All. Their leading scorer, leading assist man. He just runs the show, a super talented player. They have a senior in Bentley Delp. He's having a very nice season, second in scoring. He had a game at 33 this year, so he can get the job done as well. Then they got West Vigo transfer Garrett Pugh just recently. He had a game-winning putback for them and a win over Lawrenceville at the buzzer. He's a nice low-post presence, kind of a double-double guy, and he's really helping Marshall out. So in game number 8, I have Marshall knocking off Greencastle. So that's my first day. We'll move a little faster here through the rest of the tournament. The first game on day number 2, game number 9, in the consolation, I have South Vermilion and Edgewood, and I have Edgewood winning that. Game number 10, we have Robinson and Linton. I see Linton bouncing back from their first loss of the season. I have the Miners. Now, we go to the winners bracket in day number 2. In game number 11, the first winners bracket game that I have is Cloverdale and Northview. I think this is a game where experience matters. Cloverdale is extremely young. Northview, the kids have been around for a while, and I think that experience pays off. I have the Knights in this one. Also, then we move back. Staying in a winner's bracket game, the second winner's bracket game, quarterfinal game, Bloomfield and Park Heritage. I think Park Heritage has enough weapons to throw at Blake Neal. He's going to get his, but I think Park Heritage has too many weapons, and I have Park Heritage moving on to the semifinals. Back to the consolation bracket, Shakamak and West Vigo. I have Shakamak winning that ball game. Another consolation game, Sullivan and Greencastle. I have the Arrows bouncing back and knocking off Greencastle. Back to the winners bracket, game number 15 on day 2, Terre Haute South and KZ Westfield. I think this will be a really good game. I also think this could be a very low-scoring game. KZ will cause problems for Terre Haute South. They have strong guard play. South has struggled at the guard play, but I think in the end, again, I think Terre Haute South size will be way too much, and the Braves move on to the semifinals. Our fourth quarterfinal game on day number 2, Terre Haute North and Marshall. This is the ultimate David versus Goliath, but I think Terre Haute North will handle Marshall, and I think they'll do it by double digits. I just think Terre Haute North has too many weapons for the Lions. Day number 3, the first consolation game. South Vermilion and Robinson. I see the Wildcats finally getting on track in the Classic and picking up a win over Robinson. Next up in the consolation on day number 3, West Vigo and Greencastle. I have West Vigo winning. Game number 19, then we have Edgewood and Linton, and this is a heck of a consolation game between what I think would be two really good teams. I think it will be close, but I have Linton pulling it out. Game number 20, I have Shakamak and Sullivan meeting for the second time this season, and for the second time this season, I have Sullivan pulling it out. Game number 21, Bloomfield and Cloverdale. I have Bloomfield winning this one. I think Blake Neal has a big game in that one. Then we got KZ Westfield and Marshall colliding for the second time this season. I think it will be close like the first one. I believe KZ Westfield won the first one like 49-45. I have KZ Westfield winning in another close ball game. Now, back to the winners bracket And on day number 3, this will be game number 23 in the tournament, our first semifinal. And in that, I have Northview taking on Park Heritage. These two teams have had some really good games in the Classics over the years. I think this will be a good matchup. The Knights have the players to beat Park Heritage, but I don't think it happens in this matchup. Park Heritage is on a mission, and I think Park Heritage will pull away in the fourth quarter and win this game by maybe 6 to 8 points. The other semifinal matchup, I know it's something this area loves. I think it will be Terre Haute North versus Terre Haute South in the second semifinal match on day number 3. That would be December 28th. I really don't see this matchup being close right now. I think Terre Haute South could be good by the end of the season or be better than they are right now. They are struggling right now to find themselves. North is not struggling to find themselves right now. I think this is a matchup that North wins by double digits over Terre Haute South. So we move to the final day of the first financial classic, and that will consist of 4 games. Game number 25, the Consolation Championship. I have Linton taking on Sullivan. Great thing about the Classic, it gives us matchups we don't normally get. The two rivals, Linton and Sullivan, they won't play during the regular season, so we could get them again in the Classic, and I have Linton knocking off Sullivan in the Consolation Championship. Game number 26, the 5th place game. I have Bloomfield and KZ Westfield. Again, I think Blake Neal has a big game, but I think KZ Westfield has too many options, and I take KZ Westfield to finish 5th place in this year's Classic. Then we have the 3rd place game in the First Financial Classic, and remember, that will be on WTWO at 5 p.m. on December 30th, and that has Northview taking on Terre Haute South. I think this is a really interesting matchup. I don't know if Northview quite has the size for Terre Haute South, but I don't know if Terre Haute South has the guards to match up with all of Northview's guards, and I'm actually going to take Northview in this game over Terre Haute South, so I have the Knights taking 3rd place at the Classic. Then we have the final game, game number 28 on December 30th, 6:30 p.m., the First Financial Classic Championship. I have Park Heritage taking on Terre Haute North. They're the 2 favorites coming in to win it, and in my opinion, they'll be the 2 teams in the championship game. It will be interesting how this goes. I have went back and forth on this prediction. I'll be honest. Originally, I thought Park Heritage was going to win this. I love their win over Park Tudor. Again, I think they have the tools to match up with Terre Haute North. So if they win, I would not be shocked. I think they have a chance to win. And what's interesting is head coach Rich Shelsky has kind of challenged his guys this year to put up or shut up. They've been on that line of making the state finals. He's kind of told them, let's stop talking about doing things and get it done. Well, this is a great chance for his team in the championship game to get it done. But, again, I will go back to this. I call this the First Financial Classic, the Todd Wolfley Invitational. I know some people get mad about that. It's just a joke. But when you've won it 12 times out of 24, Terre Haute North owns this tournament. And recently, no one's been able to stop that run, especially in the last 10 to 12 years. No one's been able to stop that. I thought earlier in the season, their loss to Evansville Central, that maybe Terre Haute North wasn't the team I thought they were. They have righted that ship quickly, and they are still the Terre Haute North team many expected them to be and that I expected them to be. So I am picking Terre Haute North to win the 2024 First Financial Classic. I think they win it in a close game, a 6 to 8 point game over Park Heritage. But I do think head coach Todd Wolfley and Terre Haute North win the First Financial Classic for the 13th time. So we'll see how I do. There's my 28 predictions for the First Financial Classic. We'll see if I can get the games right or not. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament. You never know how it's going to play out. So it should be a lot of fun. Again, I will have stuff on WTWO, mywabashvalley.com, all tournament with a special web page access to the tournament. I'll have highlights, leading scores, game summaries, and then again, sports director Grant Pugh and Jack Burney will have all the highlights on TV from this year's First Financial Classic. That does it for this Beyond the Stands.